What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. If you guys own a second gen Tacoma, you are going to absolutely love this video and the product I will be bringing to you guys today. Now, first and foremost, before we get into this, I need to let you guys know why I look so ridiculous right now. I decided to come up to Santiago Peak today and totally underestimated the weather, and it is ice cold winds up here. So I'm trying to stay warm while I can, so please ignore these multi-layers of blankets I got going on. But yes, like I said, if you guys own a second gen Tacoma, today's product you guys are gonna be super thrilled about, because what I'm showing you guys today is a prototype third brake light for our second gen Tacomas. Now, the reason you might be wondering, like, oh, well, why am I gonna be so stoked about this? If you guys don't know, if you haven't looked into third brake lights, there's only really one, maybe two companies that offer third brake lights for the second gen Tacomas. And me personally, I like some variety. I like some options. I want to be able to choose between different products. I don't want to be forced into one just because it's the only one on the market. So let me go ahead and show you guys what we have today. What we have here is a prototype third brake light from ROVRLAB. Now, you guys might know that name because he's been blowing up on social media from other products he makes, like a 3D printed flashlight that runs a Baja design light, or other lights like diode, that run off of like a Milwaukee battery. So you might have seen him from products like that on social media, but he owns a second gen himself, which is why he's starting to make products for second gen Tacomas. Now, like I said, this is a prototype product, and ROVRLAB was gracious enough to let me go ahead and product test for them, which is why I have it on my truck here. Now, the reason I was so interested in this and the reason why I wanted to product test it is because there were some things about it that I was kind of skeptical about, that I thought to myself, is this actually gonna work? So that skepticism led to me being able to product test this, and I think that skepticism also allows me to really put it through the ringer and bring you guys a nice, good review of it right now. So first and foremost, I really want to talk about the specs of this product and sort of the details of it. As you heard me say a little bit ago, ROVRLAB does work with 3D print. So this whole housing right here is a 3D printed housing. If we get closer up here, you can kind of see the lines, the very, very fine lines of the 3D print. And on the front, you have this texturing right here. Now, the fact that it's 3D printed was one of the big hangups for me. It really made me think, is this gonna work? Is it a viable product? Because the other third brake light on the market for our trucks is a metal housing that's powder coated. So obviously it's durable. It's gonna stand the elements, whether it be sun, dust, water, any of that. And I thought to myself, with this third brake light, can it stand sun fading? What's gonna happen once a lot of dirt gets caked into it? Is it gonna start to turn a brownish color, or is it gonna be able to hold its color when you wash it? And also, is water gonna be seeping into it? Now, I know I'm supposed to be giving you guys a review of it right now, but I think these are gonna be factors that are more longevity based. Sun fading is not gonna happen in the month or two I've had it on. It's gonna happen maybe over a year, maybe over 2 years. The dirt caking in, again, it depends on how much dirt it's seeing, how much off-roading it's going through. So those are things that I'll probably review in a later video once I've had it on for maybe a year or a full desert season. So let's go ahead and move on to some other details about this third brake light. The next thing, and one of my favorite things about this third brake light, is the fact that it bolts into existing bolt holes, as to where the other competitor, the metal one, you have to drill into the cab to install it. Now, the reason I put air quotes around existing bolt holes is because the actual existing bolt holes for the third brake light on our trucks are sort of right here around the outsides, but he makes this backing plate, and then that relocates the holes to the center here, so you can go ahead and run the lights as it is here. And I think that is one of the most important things about this, is I really was held up and I did not want to drill into my cab with that other third brake light that's on the market. And I know a lot of people have that thought too. Do I really want to drill holes into my cab? Is it going to let water in? Is it going to be safe, secure? What if I want to take it off later, you know? So the fact that this does not require any drilling and it can directly bolt in is a super, super huge plus. And now, moving on to the next detail, which is the most obvious and the most prominent of this, is the lights that it runs. The other third brake light on the market, you have a big S2 in the middle, an S2 Baja designed light. This third brake light, however, runs 3 Baja design rock lights. We have a red one here in the center for the actual brake light for when you're pumping the brakes, and then the 2 outsides can be really whatever you want. The guy who makes these is running an amber on one side and a white on the other. I decided to go for 2 ambers just because I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to see rock lights through the dust, which we will talk about a little bit later in this video. But yeah, I went with the 2 ambers, and I think it looks absolutely killer having the mirrored ambers on each side and then having the red in the middle. Looks so good. And like I said, you can run really whatever colors you want on each side. If you did want to run the amber and the white like he does, I was telling him you could run a toggle switch or wire it to 2 separate switches. So one could be used as a cargo light if you wanted to turn it on by itself, and the other can be used as a dust light if you want to do that. Because the cool thing about this third brake light too, which I don't think it's really made to do, but it does do it, is when they're on at night, it lights up almost the entire bed, maybe like from my foot back, it doesn't really light up, but everything else is pretty lit up. So an unintentional cargo light, that's pretty cool. Now, one last thing for the details and the specs of this. This is not the only version he makes. He does make one for diode dynamic lights. And a little spoiler, because I know a lot of people are thinking it, I was thinking it, and a lot of people were asking about it. I just got word, and he just posted that he is making one for an S2 right now. He's prototyping and test fitting that on his own truck right now and getting it really dialed in before I go ahead and product test it again for him, or he releases it to the public. So yes, there's going to be an S2 option. And aside from the diode and the Baja designs, I think he does make one, or he's toying around with the idea and seeing if it'll work, of using KC cyclone lights. So a lot of different options there. He, much like me, really likes to give a lot of variety and a lot of options to his customers. So now with the details and the specs out of the way, let's go ahead and run over some of the concerns I had, which really led me to wanting to product test this. Obviously, the first one is one that I already talked about in the beginning, is the 3D print gonna hold up? Again, I think it's gonna be a longevity thing. I gotta test it. I really have to put it through the ringer for maybe a full season, maybe some years, and see, one, is the sun fading gonna be a problem? Two, is dirt bedding in it gonna be a problem? Three, is water leakage gonna be a problem? Which I don't think it will, because he's already tested that. He's done water tests on it before and it should be fine. And he's also working on a new seal for the perimeter of it. So I don't think the water seepage is gonna be a problem. But another concern of mine was these Baja Design rock lights get really, really hot when they're on for 10 minutes or more. And they even put that on their website. They say that they can get excessively hot when used. So the fact that it's 3D print with 3 Baja Design rock lights side by side inside of it, running for 15, 20, 30 minutes, however long you have them on whatever run you're doing, is it gonna start to melt this 3D plastic? And that was one of my greatest concerns. But as you can see around the edges so far, we don't have any sort of melting or any signs of it. I haven't taken it off and checked the backside, but this is a very, very high temperature rated 3D print he uses. So I don't think we're ever gonna run into that problem. And I've had these lights on for long periods of time. So I think it's good. Now, one more concern I had is this 3D print gonna be strong enough? Because I know there's not a whole lot of body flexing going on in the center top of the cab, but you know, trucks get rattled around. When we're off-roading them, they flex and twist in weird ways. So I didn't know if maybe if it's bolted in, is it gonna crack at certain points? If it's like too tight and your truck flexes a certain way, is this whole housing just gonna crack on you? I have no problems with that. So I don't think it's gonna be a problem. Again, there's not a whole lot of flexing going on in that part of the truck anyways, so I think we're fine there. But now the last and arguably the biggest concern I had with this setup, and I kind of touched on it earlier in the video again, are these lights gonna be bright enough for what this product is intended to do? So if you guys are wondering, why do you need a third brake light? The biggest reason people swap out their third brake lights is so you can put in bright amber off-road lights for when you're off-roading in a group or at night, where you want the person behind you to see where you are at. So if you guys are on a very silty trail or a very dusty trail, you wanna be able to see the person in front of you, because the normal brake lights are gonna get lost in the silt pretty quick. So you want some really bright amber off-road lights so the people behind you can see where you're at. And my thought is, again, a lot of people use S2s or S1s or full-on bars in the back so they can be seen through the dust. And those are way brighter than rock lights. Now we're running 2 rock lights in the back. So my thought is, are these gonna be bright enough to cut through dust? Are they gonna be bright enough for people to see during daytime? I'm trying to think of all the elements where it could be super, super hard to see people's lights, which I think the hardest would be driving directly toward the sun, so the people are staring at the sun with your brake light right below it in dust. And I've tested it in all kinds of conditions, guys. I've been out to multiple desert trips so far. I'm up here at Santiago Peak today, one of the siltiest places I know, testing it. So far, it's exceeding my expectations. Again, it's not the brightest light by any means, but it is getting the job done. Everybody I've talked to, I don't think I've had anybody say that they couldn't see it at any given point. I've had a lot of people say, no, I've seen them the entire time, no matter how dusty, how far back they are, any light conditions or anything like that. Now the thing is, how intense are the lights through all that? From the footage I've seen so far, if you're at daytime, you're really only seeing 2 glowing bezels, like just 2 glowing dots on the truck. Whether you're in the silt or not, you just see the 2 glowing, like the actual lights themselves, kind of putting out a little glow, which you can still see and is still fine. At nighttime, it picks up a lot more. It's like one big glowing ball where the whole brake light is at. So that kind of exceeded my expectations a bit. I thought it was still gonna be 2 glowing bezels at night, but it gets the job done. Is it the brightest? No. Is it doable? Does it do what it's here to do? Yes. So all the concerns I have had completely non-existent anymore. I don't have any more concerns except maybe the sun fading, but everything else has been totally disproven. So this third brake light has exceeded my expectations hands down. Now, if you guys are into Tacomas, you will already know who that other company I was talking about is that makes the third brake light. It's Evil Manufacturing. Evil Manufacturing makes the third brake light for the Tacoma in that metal housing that you have to drill into the cab. Now, given that them and this company are, in my eyes, the two main competitors for third brake lights on second gens, I want to go ahead and compare them a little bit side by side for you. Not physically, but stats wise, we'll say. So the big difference, obviously, the light setup. ROVRLABs, you're running 3 Baja design rock lights, as to where the Evil Manufacturing is running 1 S2 in the middle and little bezel brake lights on the side that are already built into it. Another noticeable difference, again, this is 3D printing, as to where the Evil Manufacturing one is a metal housing that is powder coated black. Now, my favorite comparison, again, is the drilling versus no drilling. With this product, you do not have to drill into your cab, which is a huge plus. But with the Evil Manufacturing, you're having to smoke some holes through that cab, buddy. Now, something cool about the Evil Manufacturing one that I think ROVRLAB said they're gonna try to start integrating is the Evil Manufacturing does have an antenna mount if you're running a radio inside the truck, as to where this one does not as of right now. Another thing I heard from a lot of second gen Tacoma guys when I started posting about this product is the fact that Evil Manufacturing, at the time, I don't know if they still do, if it's an all the time kind of thing, if it's a sometimes kind of thing, but they have a very long back order on the product. Like, they don't have them readily available in stock, which, I mean, I've been on their website, I haven't seen that problem. Maybe they tell you after you order it, I'm not sure. But with this being 3D printed and him having the files and designs on his computer, they are made to order. So as soon as you order it, he prints it up, boom, it's ready to ship out. So I don't think you're ever gonna have sort of a back order problem with these unless he's getting like flooded with orders, but I think you'll be fine. And now the last comparison I want to make between this and the Evil Manufacturing is obviously the price, the cost of the product. And that's going to get broken down into 2 categories. 1, the housing itself, and 2, the lights you need to buy to make it work. Now, starting with the housing cost, like I said, this is a prototype, so it is not listed for sale anywhere. So there is no really set price for it yet, but we'll talk about that in a little bit once we go over the pricing a little more. Now, the Evil Manufacturing cost for the housing is $245, and that is the housing powder coated with the 2 bezel brake lights in it. But that does not include the cost of the S2. So let's move on to the cost of the lights. The cost of the amber S2 with the flush plate mount that you need for that Evil Manufacturing light is running about $151 before tax and shipping. Now, the cost of these Baja Design rock lights are about $60 a piece. So in total, if you're getting 3 lights, you're at about $201 before shipping and tax. So when you go ahead and work out the difference between the lights and the housing, there is a huge gap for ROVRLABs to go ahead and set their price to where it will still come in under the price of the Evil Manufacturing one. I think it's like $150 to $200 range that he could play with and still come in under Evil Manufacturing with the lights and the housing. So this is looking like it will be a cheaper option price-wise. Okay, now I want to show you while it's still kind of light out, and then we'll get some shots when it's dark too, but I want to show you how these lights look when they're on. Okay, can you start by turning on just the ambers? Just turn them on. All right, turn them off. And then hold the brake light. All right, now turn on the ambers while holding the brake light. I don't know if the camera is even gonna be able to pick this up with how much it's glowing right now, but I think it looks pretty badass. Let's see if we back up a little bit. Can we get a better feel for it? It just looks so clean. All right, the sun is almost down, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here for you guys, give my final thoughts. Like I said, I came into this with a lot of concerns with the product, and this is before I even knew the guy who made them, so big shout out to him letting me test this for you guys and putting it through the ringer. But like I said, all the concerns I have, out the window now, dude. Like, I've tested this thing and it has put all those concerns to rest. One of the key things that I really love about it, again, these aren't the brightest lights, but they get the job done, is if you're following somebody, I've followed people with S2s before, and I am blinded by them, absolutely blinded by them. If there's no dust, if I'm not far enough, and even if I am far enough, those are just really bright lights. If you've followed S2s, you know what I'm talking about. So the thing I really love about these is they don't absolutely blind the person behind you, which is pretty cool for just a recreational use. But again, one of the drawbacks some people could see is that it's not shining a really big spread beam, kind of like going out through the dust, you know? You kind of just see the lights through the dust, but you don't have like light coming through the, I don't know how to explain that actually, that's kind of hard. Like if you're standing sideways and you look at dust, you'll see a beam of light coming from an S2. These, you'll see like a glow, you know? So I think it comes down to preference at that point. And again, one of the things I find really cool is that you can use it as a cargo light. I'll probably throw in a clip once it gets really dark. All right, so like I promised, I wanted to show you guys that these can be used as a cargo light of sorts. As you can see, it lights up pretty much the entire bed except just that little sliver right there. But for something that's not intended to be a cargo light and just a third brake light, it does a pretty damn good job at lighting up the whole bed. And like I said, if you wanted to run one amber on one side and a white on the other and put them on separate switches or a toggle switch or something like that, you could have a dedicated white light just for a cargo light in the bed. But guys, that is my review so far in the product testing I've done with the ROVRLAB's third brake light for the 2nd gen Tacomas. I'm not sure if he has any more coming out for other makes and models. I'm going to try to talk him into some Tundras for the Tundra guys, because I got a lot of people asking about those. But Tacoma boys, this is the product for you if you're looking for a cheap, non-permanent third brake light. I mean, it could be permanent if you want to keep it, but you're not committed to drilling the holes. So huge shout out to ROVRLAB for letting me test this. Thank you guys so much. I'm looking forward to testing the S2 version of it once that is ready to be put on and bring you guys another video. So if you guys are not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, because we will have more product testing videos coming out. We have desert videos coming out. We got all kinds of videos coming out. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do so. I'm freezing my ass off, so I'm gonna go now. See you guys.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream.